Do you know what mead is?
Mead?
Mead.
No, I've never heard it.
Do you know what mead is?
No.
Do you know what mead is?
Oh yeah, I love Lucy.
Do you know what mead is?
No.
Do you know what mead is?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like a drink of some kind.
Do you know what mead is?
No? What is it?
Do you know what mead is?
An alcoholic beverage consisting of fermented honey and water.
This is Andrew Coates. He is a mead maker in the Noosa Hinton region. He's also my uncle and is one of the first mead makers or meaderies in Australia.
Thanks for that. G'day everybody. So this is Queensland's only dedicated meadery and cellar door. So there's other meaderies around, but we're the only one that does a cellar door in the tasting room. And it's leading the charge in the mead revolution.
Not very many people actually know what mead is. Do you want to explain what mead is?
Sure. So mead it's a very ancient form of alcoholic beverage and predates wine or beer or cider or any of those things. And in its most basic form, it's an alcoholic beverage made using honey as the fermentable sugar source. So wine comes from grapes, cider comes from apples, perry comes from pears, mead comes from honey. So we make an alcoholic beverage using honey and local raw honey. That's in its most basic form.
You weren't the first mead maker in the family. It started off with your grandfather and my great-grandfather. Do you want to tell us about how his legacy kind of continued through you?
So Poppo Coates, he started mead making about the same time as he started beekeeping, around about 1942, somewhere in there, back in England. And he was a very passionate beekeeper and sneaky mead maker. I think he's making his first mead when he was about 14 or so. And then he sort of went through doing that, joined the Navy for a little bit in the wartime, then went back into beekeeping and mead making. Was never a commercial mead maker, but he immigrated to Australia in 1966, and in that time he'd had 4 daughters. He continued beekeeping and mead making right through this time. His daughters didn't take a great deal of interest in the beekeeping. They probably got stung a few too many times. I'm the oldest grandchild, I suppose, and growing up, spending my whole life having holidays around Poppo with the mead and with the bees and beekeeping and honey. I was always inspired by that, but my life took on a different direction, I suppose, and I ended up getting an apprenticeship as an aircraft engineer and sort of went off on a tangent doing that all over Australia and a few different places around the world fixing aircraft. And during that time, I suppose I was still interested in fermenting. It's just probably in the blood. Was always brewing beer and making mead, and had a few goes at wine making, entered some little amateur competitions. And it wasn't until a little bit later in life when I wanted to work out what I did when I grew up, and thought, mead making would be a good thing to do, and just looked into it, travelled all around Australia to find the right place to set up and do it. Discovered this little magic place on the Noosa hinterland, and then sought out approval and recommendations from Poppo, and went from there. And then growing, and we've won awards all over Australia now, and following on from Poppo's inspiration, I suppose.
What is the mead making process?
In its most simple form, mead making is mixing honey, water and yeast. So the honey won't ferment by itself, it's too much sugar, so the yeast will not survive in it, so it gets watered down to the right amount, and then yeast is mixed with that. That's in its most simple form, but it gets a little bit more technical. There's a fair bit of science behind it, because honey doesn't have a lot of the micronutrients to have a healthy fermentation. The yeasts would be stressed and Okay, we're in the mead fermentation room at the moment. We're just checking on some lime mead that we're just adding ginger to, which is fermenting quite nicely. I want to have a look in here. We'll just take a little sample. So you can have a little taste test. Yep, that's coming along really well. We need to add the ginger though, that we have here. This is freshly processed ginger that we chopped up last night. Thomas gave us a hand with that. In 3 kilo batches, and we've got lots and lots of kilos to go into all the drums. So we've worked out we need about 3 kilograms of ginger in each of these batches. And that all goes into a sterilised bag. And the raw ginger goes straight into the mead. It's a bit like a big cup of tea. And that'll sit in there for the next 6 to 12 months, infusing the ginger through with the lime and making amazingness.
There was a little bee, he never did agree to all of the chores he should do. So he